The bizarre and disturbing moment caught on camera aboard a United Airlines flight. A man dragged off the plane for refusing to give up the seat he had already paid for. He was left bleeding, and his fellow passengers were left stunned. Were any laws broken here? And could this happen to you? They are the shocking images of a passenger caught in a travel nightmare. A man visibly shaken as he's yanked.
Come on. Come on, come on.
And then dragged off a United jet by law enforcement.
Oh my God, look at what you did to him!
All after refusing to give up his seat. Tonight, Chicago aviation security officer put on leave. But for many of the passengers, and for many of the millions who have seen this clip, the question is, how did it get to this point?
It was surreal. No one expected it to happen like that.
It was scheduled to leave Chicago Sunday evening at 5:40. The destination, Louisville, Kentucky. It's when the passengers got on board that the crew started to offer vouchers for a handful of seats.
$800 sounded really nice, and I thought it was unusual that nobody was volunteering, but I think it was because United didn't have another flight out to Louisville until 2 p.m. today.
United clarifying today that the flight was not overbooked. It now says it was a crew transport issue, claiming the passengers were all on board when crew members approached the gate agents. They needed to be in Louisville to work on their own flight. 4 seats would be needed.
Everybody was seated by then, and the fact that they told us that we would not leave until 4 people volunteered, there was just a real sense on the plane that that wasn't right.
With no takers, a United computer picked 4 passengers, offering them $1,000, the airline says. All complied except for this 69-year-old man who said he's a doctor and needed to get home to treat patients.
2 police come in full gear. They tell him that he has to leave the airplane.
John Klassen, the man in the orange shirt here, was sitting right in front of the passenger. He saw and heard it all, he says.
How do you react when the police aren't asking questions, they're just trying to forcibly remove the man? I could not believe what I was seeing or hearing. I was in shock.
And so were other passengers, many of them recording as the officers dragged the man down the aisle.
I have to go home.
But just minutes later, the man slipped back onto the jet
I have to go home.
before he was removed yet again. United CEO Oscar Munoz calling it an upsetting event and saying that the airline is reaching out to the man to address and resolve this situation. In an internal memo, Munoz elaborating that the man was approached a few more times in order to gain his compliance. Each time he refused and became more and more disruptive and belligerent. The passenger has yet to comment.
United may have been right legally, but morally it's hard to make a case for the way this man was treated. And people are expressing their outrage.
Look at what you did to him!
Yet demanding a paying customer give up a seat is perfectly legal.
It's part of a document that nobody ever looks at called the Contract of Carriage, which gives basically the airlines, the pilot, the flight attendant, all sorts of rights to pretty much do whatever they want.
This is the second case of negative press for United Airlines in the last 2 weeks. Late last month, 2 teenagers had to change clothes before boarding a flight from Denver to Minneapolis.
We heard the gate agent say, these aren't my rules, I just enforce them.
Airlines have rules for every situation, but sometimes social media doesn't look at the rules, they look at the outcome.
To me, it seems like a pretty sexist policy.
United says the family was flying under its Pass Rider program. That's where employee relatives and friends can fly for free or at heavily discounted prices. The airline told ABC News at the time, quote, when taking advantage of this benefit, all employees and pass riders are considered representatives of United. The passengers this morning were United pass riders and not in compliance with our dress code for company benefit travel.
Oh my God.
Leggings aside, this is not the first time we've seen airport police dragging a passenger down a plane aisle. In December, video of local police in Detroit dragging a woman off a flight headed for San Diego went viral. A Delta Airlines representative said in a statement at the time that the passenger was not complying with boarding and baggage check procedures and was removed by local law enforcement. And not even 2 weeks after that incident, an unruly passenger was removed from a JetBlue flight, not by police, but by JetBlue staff at the request of the Secret Service after reportedly verbally harassing Ivanka Trump.
What did he say? You're ruining our country, now you're ruining our flight. He was upset. He walked on as soon as he saw her, he started shaking.
The Secret Service told ABC News they made the decision to remove the passenger from the aircraft. JetBlue wrote in a statement, quote, the decision to remove a customer from a flight is not taken lightly and that the team worked to reaccommodate the party on the next available flight. People behaving badly on planes is certainly not a new phenomenon. Between 2007 and 2015, there were nearly 50,000 unruly incidents. 40% of airlines report they diverted a flight last year because of an unruly passenger. Example, this freakout at 40,000 feet.
All of a sudden, this guy who was sleeping just woke up out of nowhere and started flipping out.
This JetBlue passenger punching and kicking as flight attendants struggled to restrain him.
Everyone was freaking out. I was a little nervous. I wasn't sure what the guy was trying to actually do.
Nerd? Okay, look to yourself, sir. Mr. Bald can't grow a set of hair.
Or this guy growing more irate by the moment in a heated exchange.
I'm 28. I make $4 million a year. What do you do? Nothing. So shut the You're right. I'm a loser. I own 6 houses. I'm the biggest loser on the planet.
But other than refusing to leave his seat, there's been no evidence that this man, who claims to be a doctor on his way to see patients in Louisville, did anything wrong.
When you look at this tape, does it look like excessive force to you?
Absolutely. The question is, whose fault is it? Who's to blame? United calls the police department. The police shows up and drags the guy out. The excessive force here is really from the police, not United.
Look at what you did.
What comes next may be a lawsuit.
If that passenger's going to file a lawsuit, it's most likely against the police, not the airline.
Well, it'll be against both. The airline has every right to involuntarily deny access to the plane. What makes this different is this wasn't about denying access, this was about yanking someone off.
Might make that $800 coupon seem like small potatoes.